मरघट तक है तेरी कहानी पग पग प्यारे दंगल 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 सूरज तेरा चढ़ता ढलता गर्दिश में करते हैं तारे दंगल 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 दंगल.
Great morning, my dear friends. Bhupesh, Anand this side again. By profession, I'm a chartered accountant, I'm a company secretary, I'm a cost accountant, and I did a diploma in International Financial Reporting Standards from ACCA London. And I'm doing so many different other courses, international courses. So today I will be starting with lecture number 2. The name of the reading is Probability Concepts, and today we'll be doing with second learning outcome that what are the properties of a probability? What are the properties of a human being, for example? What are the properties of pav bhaji? What are the properties of masala dosa? And now we will be doing with what are the probabilities of a probability, and we will be discussing with two properties, that there are two properties of a probability, and the second is how many types of probabilities are there. What is empirical probability, what is priori probability, what is subjective probability. So we will be discussing with the three probabilities, and we will be discussing with that what I mean by, what are the properties of a probability. Very small lecture, learning outcome number B. So please take out your registers. Great morning, probability concepts, lecture 2, learning outcome number B. State the two defining properties of probability. So this is the first point which I will be covering, that what are the two properties of a probability. And the second is distinguish between, I have to create a difference between empirical probability, subjective probability, and a priori probability. So what are the difference between that? Very simple. So today first point is I will be starting with the properties. There are two properties. The first property is that the probability of success or failure or any probability of any event varies from 0 to 1. It cannot be less than 0 and it cannot be more than 1. Maximum it can be 0, minimum it can be 0, and maximum it can be 1. So this is the basic rule which we should all aware of, that the probability of an event occurs from 0 to 1. So just write down following are the two properties of a probability. Property 1 is probability of event will always be between, for example, if I say an event, for example, tossing is an event, throwing a dice is an event, writing for CFA examination is an event, driving a car is an event. So whether I met with accident or not, it is a probability. Now probability can vary from 0 to 1, not less than 0 and not more than 1. And the second probability is, in case of mutually exclusive events or in case of exhaustive events, the total of the probability is always equal to 1. The total of probability is always equal to 100%. I repeat, in case of mutually exclusive events / exhaustive events, I have already told you what are mutually and what is exhaustive. When I say Ramlal will pass, has cleared, it means the second event, that his failure will not exist. So those are named as mutually exclusive and exhaustive events. The total of probability is always equal to 1. So property number 2, in case of mutually exclusive events and exhaustive events, the total of probability of an event has to be 1/100%. So if probability of success in CFA examination is 40%, then probability of failure in CFA is 60% automatically, because we know that these are mutually exclusive events, and in case of mutually exclusive events, the total is always equal to 100%. So let's move with another point in this learning outcome, that what are the different types of probabilities. One is empirical probability, which is based on the past information, which is based on the past history, which is based on my past experience. If I say that on the basis of past experience, there is a high probability that commerce students can are clear in first attempt in CFA level 1 examination. This is based on my past information, because I have taken so many eligibility tests, and on the basis of that I have concluded that. So just write on first point, types of probabilities. There are three types of probabilities. There are three types of probabilities. One is empirical probability, second is subjective probability, and third is priori probability. I repeat, empirical probability, subjective probability, and priori probability. Now what is empirical? When I say empirical, it means it is based on the past experience. So it is established, this probability is established by analyzing past data. So I have written a very beautiful case study for you, that in our Bhupesh classes, whenever a student come for finding out whether he should join CFA or not, we generally take us eligibility test of him. But with the help of a personal interview, I myself take an interview, and then along with my own expert team, they also have an interview with that particular candidate, and after that test we analyze that whether he should join CFA examination or not. Now as per that, the students who have joined, as per our suggestion, 85%, 90% of the students got cleared in first attempt. So that is based on my past data, my past experience. So I will say it is empirical probability. So please write an example. If at Bhupesh classes we conduct a eligibility test for a candidate, that whether he should join CFA as a career or not. So on the basis of personal interview and our past experience, we have concluded that 85% of the candidates which we consider that they should join CFA, get success in first attempt, is an example of empirical probability. So let's move to subjective probability. Now, what is subjective? As the name indicates, it depends upon the personal bias, it depends upon the personal thought process. That is subjective. So, this method involves use of personal judgment in developing probabilities. I am using my personal judgment in developing probabilities. So I will say it is named as subjective probabilities. So if father personally feels that my son will get 100% success in CFA examination in coming exams, so I will say it is a subjective probability, because he himself is thinking without any past experience or without any logic and reasoning. Because if he is calculating probability, if he is determining probability with the help of past information, that is empirical. And if he is determining the probability on the basis of logic and reasoning, that is priori. It means this is subjective probability. And the last is priori probability, that when you determine a probability on the basis of logics, on the basis of reasoning, on the basis of inspection, that type of probability which you determine, that is named as priori probability. For example, if I see that a particular candidate in a class is very hard worker, and he attends all weekly tests of conducted by us, and he is very much sincere in his studies, so I can say that he will clear his exams in first attempt. So this is a priori probability, because on the basis of reasoning, on the basis of logics, I am telling that. So just see the example. If Mr. X thinks himself that he will get an analyst job in one of the credit rating agency 100%, so that is his subjective probability. But at looking the hard work of Mr. X, if with logic we can say that there's a 95% probability of his selection, then it is priori probability. So you're getting a point. So let's see the Google Baba, what Google Baba is saying to us. The types of probabilities, this is again, just see, analysis of probability, they have divided into objective and subjective. Within objective they have divided into empirical, and that is not a problem. The same concept which we have discussed. Properties of probabilities. Now we have discussed two properties. Now what are the properties of probability? I have just told you the properties. A probability takes an event in the form of assigned numbers between 0 and 1. So this is my probability, this is my property number 1, and the total of probability is always equal to 1. So these are the two properties, and these are the three types of probabilities. Hope you have enjoyed the lecture. Be happy, be jolly, be cheerful. Be happy, be jolly, be cheerful.